Hey guys, germs here. That's what we're going to be making right there. So let's get into it. I'm starting in Procreate, where I draw out this circle template. I have a Proxon hot wire cutter right there. So I wanted to make a way I could cut circles like as perfect as possible and in varying sizes with ease. So I got a thumbtack. I'm gonna stick that in the center. Oh, I was flattening that out. That's appropriate use for those tools. You'll see here how I'm gonna use it. It's so satisfying using this hot wire. The sound, I should have recorded some of the sound for you. I'll do that next time because I'm definitely gonna make more of these. I really had a lot of fun on this. I started out cutting a lot of circles. I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what the end product was in my head, as far as I wanted it to be a Pusheen Pegasus, and I knew I wanted the wings to flap and the tail to wag, and I did not know how I was gonna do that exactly, but I was just making it up as I went. I actually cut out a lot of stuff because I don't remember how many hours of footage I had, but I was doing a lot of experimenting, and I just glued up a lot of extra stuff that I didn't end up using that I thought, well, this will be nice to have, in the future, or even just, I don't know, I didn't know what I was going to need. So, here, this box, I don't even know what the hell I was thinking with that box. And then I cut those flaps off. I think at this point I probably knew what it was going to look like. I just needed to find all the pieces to make it work. So that tube, I just happened to have that tube, and I looked over and saw that tube and was like, oh, well, that's perfect. And I ended up searching all over the place for a straw, because I tried this once with you'll see how it's going to be set up here, but I tried it without the straw in there, and it was just flopping around all over the place, and it was getting stuck, and this thing was crazy to tinker with, but I'm telling you, it was fun. This material I'm using is it's XPS foam. It's insulation foam. I think it's XPS, but it's just like a hard insulation foam, and I love using it. You can do so much with it. You can carve into it. You can do so much. I sand it a lot. You got to be careful with some finishes and some glues. I use wood glue for it. It works great. And then I started testing using super glue on it for this project, and it worked out well. Sometimes the solvents and glues are like aerosol sprays. You can't spray paint this stuff without sealing it up first with something else, but it'll just eat a hole right through it. Here, what was I doing? Oh yeah, so there's the straw, and I got 2 discs, and I'm going to go inside of that tube, and I'm a master videographer. That's why everything's in frame and you can see it so well. And there I was just filling it up with glue. So back in Procreate, so I could take my inspiration there and create a pattern. I ended up printing this out. And those measurements are just, I just made those up. This process here too, with trying to get these things sculpted and like figuring out how to do it was, I've watched a lot of videos of people sculpting, especially like large scale foam stuff. So I kind of had a general idea of how to approach it, but I just hadn't done it before, and I hadn't tried to make anything like this with the foam before. I've done some sculpture. I got a good one I'll put up. It was real fun of a tattoo shop that I worked at. Yeah, now I'm figuring out this little cam there at the shaft, and I think I ended up sanding inside of that hole and making it a little bigger so it could move as easy as possible. So here we go. I'm just going for it at this point. So I cut around the general shape and then come back and round that off, and then I get some sandpaper, and I had to take it outside the next day to do this, so you don't see this whole process. I'm telling you, I cut out so much. I mean, I was like, what do these people even want to see? What do they care about? I'm not even sure this is worth watching as it is. So there's it all. It's all sanded and had the bounce motion looking like it was going to work. Little thing is cool. So this is Mod Podge and black acrylic paint. I don't know what kind of mix it is. I just squirted a bunch of black paint in there and shook it up. And I've added more and more paint. Like I would try to keep it at least 50-50. Or no more paint than that, I guess. It doesn't matter. I don't know why it even matters, but I end up putting 2 coats of that on every piece that is going to get painted. And that seals up this foam, so that is kind of cool. Like 2 coats of that, and then you're good to spray paint it even, which is kind of cool if you wanted to go that route. Plasti dip would work too. I think it would work. Oh, that's funny. I ended up highlighting that because it looked like a half pipe to me, and then I started having these visions of making these little miniature like skate parks and little ramps, or like little buildings, like a little cityscape where the roofs were kind of a skate park or something. I don't know, but the point is that just even that random piece that was kind of a castaway inspired me in that way, and it just got me thinking about like where ideas come from, and that's where they come from for me. Usually, just working gets my creative juices flowing. Here I was just sanding like crazy on these things, so I cut out the pattern. I ended up putting that pattern on top of the foam, and then just using the wire around the paper as a guide. And then I just folded some sandpaper in half and started going at it. I had different grits, so I could kind of eat away at it and smooth it out a little bit. And the paint and the Mod Podge sealant, smooths it out quite a bit too. So I sanded so much on this thing. Like I sanded a lot of stuff that didn't even make it into the project, really. There's old Sandy Warhol. these wings. I mean, I was just, how long did this take? I don't even know. It was crazy. I'll just go ahead and tell you before we get there, but attaching these wings to the body in a way that allowed the sculpture to move in the way that I wanted it to proved to be a real tricky situation that, I should have prototyped. Like, in the future, I'm going to prototype, or I'm going to have a drawing or something and kind of work these things out. Like, doing this, just flying by the seat of my pants, it's not that big a deal. I always come back to this. Like, it's just a painting, it's just a sculpture, and I don't want to be afraid to try things because I'm not sure if they're going to work, or I just personally, like, I get stuck, like, analysis paralysis. If I don't just make a move, I got to make a move, or I'll just think about it so much that I never even do it, because I'm just like, well, I could do it this way and this way. Oh yeah, so, and the variable says, but it's just like, I just annoy myself so much. Here I was beefing up that base. I used that little wood piece on the bottom is like particle board wrapped in like a brown paper bag material, but that came out of a TV, I think. Like, those were just in there, and then my wife was like, "Oh, I bet you want these. You probably want to use these for your stuff." So, anyways, that added a lot of weight to the bottom of that, and but I wanted to trim it out and beef it up, and like I said, I didn't really have a plan, so I'm just making it up as I went, and I probably could have made this thing look a lot cooler, but this is what we got stuck with. And I just like trim too. I like, if I'm watching a movie or something. I was a carpenter for a while, actually, and it just made me appreciate that stuff, like wood trim and houses. And we're watching movies. If there's nice wood trim in the background, I just lose myself in that. I don't even know what's going on in the movie, because I'm like, oh man, look at that trim back there. I really just want to trim things out sometimes too. Like, I just want to build a box and trim it out. So here's the tail. I think this was a sandpaper job when it came down to it. When I started painting everything, I really was like, there's old Boo Bear in the background. When I started painting this thing, I wasn't ready to be painting. Like, I didn't even finish the body. I didn't have the legs on. I didn't have her horn made even yet, and you'll see this is going to be a little button like on the opposite side of the handle. And I end up putting like a little spiral on it, so it's like it's kind of hypnotizing. This is Sandaroo. I end up putting a little camphor on the edge of that, just to soften it a little bit. I should have done the whole thing like that. Should have really just hit all the edges. It would have taken the paint better too. This stuff does, like, if you sand it, it sticks real well. Otherwise, it does stick, but if you do end up needing to take it apart or something, I mean, the paint, it'll go all the way back down to the pink. It just, you know, it's not going to fall off of there. Hopefully it's not going to crack over time. This isn't like archival quality stuff here, guys. We're just making something fun. This is for a birthday present. So I was also just trying to get on the ball here. It was like my birthday just passed too, and so I'm just talking about my birthday. That's an Aries kind of deal, huh? I was like, I started talking about somebody else. This is for somebody else's birthday, but oh yeah, my birthday. But anyways, I was in kind of a hurry since I'm quarantined, and you just have a lot of time on my hands. I was in a big hurry to work on this for hours and just screw it up and have to rebuild it. And anyways, it was quite an adventure. It was fun though. So again, here we are painting it, and you can't even see what's going on, but I filmed a lot of stuff. I filmed so much stuff. It was like I had like 10 hours of footage, and I didn't even film everything. So when it came time to like pick and choose and sort through all that, I did the best I could to get something that was interesting to watch. I didn't paint the bottom of that plunger there, and then I didn't paint the edge of the cam follower. Or is that the follower? Or, I don't know. I'm getting my terms mixed up here. But either way, I wanted it to have a little bit of a smoothness to it. I feel like acrylic paint, it gets kind of sticky. That right there, I had that copper wire, and I was making these little things. That's what I initially hinged everything up with, and it just didn't end up working. I mean, it was getting stuck. I was turning the crank, and it was hard to use. Like, I initially connected everything with the wires too. But that wire was just a little bit thick. I wanted it to act as like a spring. It just didn't end up working the way I kind of envisioned it. So I tore it all out, and I'd already sealed it up and everything. I ended up using this poly acrylic, I think is what it is. I think I end up showing it on here, but I just did one coat of that. Ideally, like 3 coats of that I think would be great. But man, I'm glad I only did one, because like I said, I ripped all this apart. That's when I also experimented with the super glue, because the wood glue was so easy to get out. I mean, it was in there, but it wasn't that hard to just take out. And it was the metal. It was the metal that was the problem. Like, the wood glue works really well on the foam to foam, or like foam paper, even foam and wood. Obviously, because wood glue, no duh. But yeah, so I got the super glue and tried that. So there we are. This is assembled with the hinges and stuff that don't work. And I mean, I spent a good hour and a half, 2 hours trying to make this work, and was just so kind of heartbroken. I was really just kind of discouraged. Like I said, it's a birthday gift, and I finished it on a Friday, and the birthday was Saturday. So it was like, I think at some point I just went in the bathroom and cried. I'm just kidding, but anyways, here's this here. I had this idea to make these little hinges that would only allow the wing to hinge in one direction, as opposed to those 2 eyelets where it just was free flowing. And I was like, well, that solves that problem. I can control. It's just going to go up and down. And that was a lot of it getting stuck was the problem, and they were just freaking out. It looked terrible. So I got all those super glued on, and the wire, little like long staple type deals are on there, and those are those ended up working out real well. So now I end up making these kind of shock absorbers for the wings, because everything I tried, it was just too stiff, and I don't know how to explain to you how I came to this idea of the shock absorbers, but I just needed it to have a lot of play and be able to move around with ease. So I made a T out of some of that polystyrene tubing. So it's hinged, and you'll see it here in a second. But and then there's a piece of that small wood dowel, which is just a skewer. It's like a wood skewer, and I sanded it real good, and it's real smooth. And so it can move up and down inside of that too. And then it's also on the hinge. So there's just so much play. And I ended up, that's, I just, it worked. And I was just so grateful that it works. I actually this morning, because today's Friday, the day that I was talking about. Tomorrow's the birthday. But, this morning I was like, I'm starting over. I almost started over, because after that tinkering it with it for that hour and a half or two and just getting so frustrated, I was like, I'm going to redo the whole thing, and then I was like, well, I can salvage some of these, like the base I can still use. And then I was like, I don't need to redo the whole thing. And then I just relaxed and stopped stressing about it. I was like, this is just a sculpture, so just chill out, bro. And I think I hung out with the fam for a little while, and we had some stuff we was wanting to do anyway. So came back to it without the frustration, and figured out the solution. There was making a little jig to make those little T shock absorbers. I think I slow it down for you so you can see, but I don't know how good the shot is. At the end, you get a little close look at it too, and you can see how it kind of works. I was dealing with that wire there. Really, this was so much fun, and it really got my gears turning, and like other stuff I want to do. So I'm going to do that. I think I was planning on doing a cosplay mask, but that can wait, and foam's not going anywhere. And I really feel like doing more of this right now, so that's what I'm going to do, because I want to do what I feel like doing. And here's the finished product. So you can see the movement and the pistons, and there's the old PUSHEEN. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it, and can't wait to share the next one with you.